Good evening. Welcome to Willowbrook Apiary. As I sat here trying to decide what my goals and objectives are with my beehive at this time, I sat here thinking that a new beginner beekeeper might be asking, what kind of equipment should I start with? What are my options? And why should I be choosing? Or in particular, what did you choose at Willowbrook Apiary and why did you choose it? So I thought I would shoot a short video on what I use and why I use it. So with that, let me go ahead and show you the 8-frame, all medium frames and hive bodies that I use at Willowbrook Apiary. I got that idea from Michael Bush of Bush Farms, and he uses a philosophy he refers to as lazy beekeeping, but really the idea and the heart behind it is, how can I work my bees in a more efficient manner and in a manner that's causing less stress on my body as I age? I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I've got quite a bit of white coming in my beard and up in my hair. My wife doesn't mind at this point, but I am getting older. He recommends that rather than starting out with deeps for the hive body and mediums for the honey supers or shallows for the honey supers, to use all one size frame throughout the whole hive. Reason being, one of the reasons being, if the queen starts to lay eggs up in a honey super, rather than struggling with trying to get her back down into the hive body where she, quote, belongs, you can simply pick up your 8-frame medium. You can, if she's laid all 8, you can pick up the whole box and move it down as a brood chamber. Or if it's early enough in the year, move it and start a new hive. They'll raise up a queen off from those fresh laid eggs, and you'll have yourself a fresh started hive. If you've caught it early enough, she's only laid 1 or 2 frames, you can grab the 1 or 2 frames and move them down into the brood chamber and move up frames of nectar, or put in fresh empty frames in the honey super and find the queen and move her back down to the bottom in the brood chamber without having to struggle with having deep in the brood chamber and mediums in the honey super. Honestly, if that were your situation, I don't really know what you would do because I haven't experienced it. I started out 8-frame medium, top to bottom, brood chamber and honey super, all the same size. One of the other major reasons is an 8-frame box of medium frames filled with honey is going to be significantly lighter than a 8-frame deep filled with honey, or even a 10-frame medium filled with honey. I think I saw something that one medium frame holds about 3 to 4 pounds of honey. So you do the math. If you've got 10 frames and they're medium, you're removing 2 of those frames by jumping down to 8 frame. You're removing 6 pounds of weight from that box. Though that doesn't seem like a lot, when you're moving 10, 20, 30 honey supers in a day, each box being 6 pounds lighter, it really makes for an easier day in the apiary. If you're using deeps, you're even heavier than you would be, especially if you've got 10 frames. I think a 10-frame medium runs about 100 pounds filled with cured honey, whereas an 8-frame I think runs around 40 or 50 pounds. I mean, you do the math. As you get older, you're going to want to carry less weight. So let me go ahead and show you some of the equipment that I'm using in my hive. All right, here is, well, my 2 dogs are in my video with me today. Tanner and Tucker, a Pomeranian and a Westie. And here is the equipment. 8-frame mediums. I'm going to pull some of this out and try to show you some of the different equipment that I've used and some of it that I'm transitioning out of. So right here we've got a wooden frame, and as you can see, foundationless. What I ended up doing was taking the wooden bar that's supposed to hold the foundation in and gluing it parallel to the top bar so that the bees are able to have a guide, a comb guide, to help them build a straighter foundationless frame of honey. Sometimes it works fairly well, and as you saw in my last video, sometimes you have to make minor corrections as you go. But as long as you're in your hive during the comb building process every 7 days or so, you should be able to end up with pretty even, straight comb. This was foundationless. The bees chose to leave holes across the top, here and here. They sometimes chew holes through the middle and the bottom. There's different theories and philosophies as to why they do that. One of them being it's easier if you're in the middle of the frame rather than crawling all the way around to the edge to go around the frame or all the way down to the bottom. If you've got a hole in the middle or you've got holes nearby, you can just crawl through to the other side. Also, airflow movement through the hive is better regulated if you've got holes in your comb. One of the other benefits, and the main reason why I went with foundationless, if you were to take a centimeter ruler and measure across 10 cells, you're going to find that these cells are probably closer to the 4.6 or 4.8 millimeter diameter from one cell to the other on average, as opposed to on, say, this plastic frame here, where we have enlarged these frames, each cell size, to 5.4 millimeters. Why does that matter? Well, why did we do that to begin with? We did it to begin with because we thought that we knew better than God, and that a bigger bee would be more beneficial, because a bigger bee would be able to hold more nectar in its honey stomach, bringing it back to the hive, and would therefore be more productive. I believe, and so do others, that by increasing the size of the honeybee, where we've actually damaged the health of the individual bee, but also the health of the hive. So I go with mostly woodenware, foundationless in my hives, especially in the brood chamber, so that the bees are able to make the size cell that they want. And I'm finding that over time, the bees are regressing back to a more natural cell size and are producing smaller worker bees, which I'm hoping will then also be healthier worker bees and an overall healthier hive. I do have some plastic foundation where the whole frame and foundation are built as one piece. That second frame I pulled out was plastic foundation, and I try to use that up in my honey supers so that I'm not wasting some of the material that came standard with the hive when I first purchased it. I didn't have enough information at the time or enough knowledge or confidence to start right out foundationless wooden frames. But as I got into the beekeeping, I realized it really isn't that hard to assemble a wooden frame, a little bit of wood glue, and I've been using my finishing nail gun to nail things together. And so far, 6 years into beekeeping this year. So far, have not had any fall apart on me while removing them from the hive, which I can imagine would cause quite a stir in the hive if that did happen. But hey, if I can do it, so can you. That's going to be all for Willowbrook Apiary today. As always, happy bees, healthy honey. God bless.